Welcome, welcome to the lovely HP community and the 5D collective. We were chit-chatting about being securely attached, non-traumatized. So when you tend to the small things like the past, and you can carry that fire all the way up to your third eye and you don't project it, that's when we have those who are able to speak a truth like the crow, which is a universally shared truth. We all have an inner child that wants to feel safe, secure, and able to be all the emotional little butthole of tenderness it can be. And so with that, the lovers will not be in any way, shape, or form something other than functional child adults. And when we meet an orphan who is a siren, we will feel bad for them because they're pretending to be mean, because they're pretending, since we all carry the same nervous system. We'll be a reminder of what they can be. If they choose to spite us, they will go and hang out with those people. If they choose to become, not us, but their own version, then they will have this as what they used to be, and it's Pinocchio with the face falling flat on the fucking floor, and it won't be, oh, I want to be like my old self again. No, but it won't be, I'm a consistently new version of myself either. Once you are established in owning all your child parts, you become a consistency of yourself because you know what it means to navigate your nervous system. So you're not a storyteller. You use your human name. And you're a pilgrim of your own mammalian heritage. When you have a whole self, by that point, you'll be proud. I'm proud to be Maria. And when someone says, don't you have any shame? No, I don't. And if I ever have had shame, I know what it's been about, and I don't need to actually feel ashamed. Am I wrong? Am I right? Really, what kind of questions are these? So when you have a healthy self-worth, woman, they, or man, they won't be doing any of the shit that you will notice some people do, and that I have plenty of people around that I can hear chiming in. And so they're low frequency. It's because they're not owners of their body. They don't know the animal kingdom. They're afraid of the animal kingdom. They're afraid of fear. They're afraid of sadness. They don't even know how to use anger. If they knew how to use anger, then they would not use that which is a comedian with a shadow, with an unseen part, because they would know exactly how weak that feels, because you don't wake up more energized, because you don't have an inner growth mindset, because you're not waking up happier by the minute, and life is not growing easier by the minute. Your thoughts and feelings are not growing easier, and you want to keep on saying that life is hard and relationships are hard and people are blah blah. Okay, so the people who have a basically pretend pill are the comedians who hang out all together, and they just use a lot of music and dramatic teenage version shit. And that's why some of the mystics that I've met, when they've said it's Luciferian era, no, it's not Luciferian era. It's that people are not healed, and then they go walking around with savior complexes and spiritual bypassers, and they just think they know the shit and that they're the bomb. Go ask the lovely flat earthers what they think about themselves. We're all going to make sense to each other. So healthy self-worth people, we are creators. There's no destruction except for please asteroid don't hit us. And when it comes to spiritual mystics, God doesn't destroy us. Empowered feminine doesn't destroy us, meaning Mother Earth, divinities, whatever you want. They don't. There's no destruction. This entire way of some playing out, it's like the ascension energy big badoo that I'm seeing on there, which is why I'm talking about this. Okay, so the sustainer, and what I do know is what time we're in. So I know that we're in the time where we're settling in with the established, expanded societal culture. I mean, it's happened before. We have had our medieval times, the Dark Ages. We have had the Renaissance. And so that's where, as a mystic on IHP, we're just chit-chatting about how those of us who are here continue to expand. And that's the people who will flock to IHP. And as I get to continue mastering my physical plane, I'm an Akashic record reader, I get to keep sharing with you the truth. Is it's always heartbreaking when you are a channeler to notice the 4D and 3D collective are not going anywhere. Okay, so when I first began ascending, I was given a fake truth about what it would be to be a mystic with clairs, because see, it's very simple for me to know what the truth is from God, Jesus, and Holy Spirit. All my brothers and sisters are my brothers and sisters. They have one of two options, to be kind or to be unkind. I noticed by the time I'm 19, unkind people are fakes, and that's it. I'm 45, they're still fakes. So while the lovely good therapists have humbled me by telling me they're not fakes, they're just paused, distorted selves of themselves, Maria. They just need help. What I can tell you is there's a bunch of them that don't go get help. They've been in my energy sphere, they've been in my dreams, they continue, because it's not just dreams, it's people who are living their subconscious, and they will have shit come up. And they don't do anything about it because none of them are in therapy. Nope. A good portion of people, they're not in therapy. I stopped telling people when I have any kind of astral treatment, that's it. I'm not doing anything, because I realize they don't do anything for themselves. And so one of the stories, actually, that my regular listeners will have heard about is one where the person, even when I had to justify the way that they had been treated, which is when I said, wow, they definitely really want to be with that person. But I also knew that that's the person God sent for that person, as again a channeler, because also I was the same human being who said, you need help, they're going to help you. They, in fact, the couple in and of itself actually points to me saying, you're the one who got us together. I didn't do it in the actual way of thinking immediately. No, I just knew that there was something. So the part that I also remember is the same person, one of the two, spoke these words. I don't like the influence you have on them. I don't have influence, I just talk. So when you spot someone else and you feel challenged and you feel that someone's going to take your position, but you're also feeling like you're supposed to have influence over another, this is where Terry Rio comes to my mind. And these are people who are codependent, basically, not emotionally, mentally, or physically independent 1-year-olds of themselves. Let me specify. I'm a securely attached 1-year-old of Maria. That's why I don't need a secure attachment figure. I'm my own secure attachment figure. I'm the one for myself, because I'm the one who will always tend to exactly the emotional, mental, and physical creative expression of that which represents my mystic life. When someone minimizes my clairs and God, I don't say anything, because I already learned what to do. Thank you, teenage boyfriend. Nothing. And the attachment and trauma educators have made it very clear what this feels like, and I know a bunch of them. So again, when I see a science man say, I've never seen a medium ever, I don't need to talk to a buffoon, because he's a buffoon. He obviously doesn't know 97% of what is out there is unavailable to be observed by scientists themselves. And that scientists, real ones, like any academic who knows what research is, will not say the moon is no longer, the earth is no longer flat. It will be something all-inclusive of, we don't know everything. And if you're of science, you're not of faith. And if you're of faith, you can be of science. I will be right back. 1 second. Point being that when you have a person who is grounded in reality, whether of science or spirituality, they won't be, you don't ever have a medium ever. And whenever I get all fired up, it's because of meeting so many of these human beings. Now that I have a way that I'm trying to organize to let you in on fun fact, it's not fun to watch idiots go in and out of just their own lives, let alone to perceive them. But when I was opened up to more than just my oversoul and then to beyond, it was already in a time where luckily our lovely attachment trauma educators were becoming popular. All of them were beginning to trend. Everybody began learning about, the inner child and wounds and trauma and da-da-da-da. And so I was like, I now know exactly who's going to help all of my brothers and sisters out there to know how to navigate out of this shithole, because it's not an energy vampire that has anything to do with me. It's a person who is in the frequency of their visceral, because they don't know how to use their brain, because they don't have their 0-8-year-old in their hands, and it's because they don't actually. So people who are in 2025, it was 2005 when I began to be opened up to more, 2006, 2007, they are still living their drama king and queen stories. Okay, so there's going to be a little of this and a little bit of that. So securely attached and untraumatized people. I use the words 5D mystic, enlightenment, soul age. If you don't have to use any of the words, it's just a person who knows how to navigate their fucking brain. Okay, so then when you're tapping into the sphere of consciousness, somatic therapists, they all can tap into it too. Thank you to smart scientists. I know a bunch of this. So it's not a special gift to be in the flow state, but it is just fucking awesome to be able to tell you how neuroscientists will let you know, yeah, it's not supernatural. So when you hear Nietzsche saying the superhuman, that's a teenager. The fact that you need to call me super tells me you don't know your own worth. Anytime you need to add an adjective to make your sound embellished, you got an insecure ego. Don't you want to have a secure ego? This is the one thing that I will notice is that as a teenager, my BFFF, I thought you were a snob. No, I'm confident. Now I know because I know you. Okay, now I'm 45. You know what I do? Nothing with anyone who's a teenage version of themselves because I met them when I was a teenager. So when I meet a grown-up and I'm actually with professionals and they're insecure, I find myself having to take steps back, leave it alone, and wonder, what the fuck? They have more certificates than I'll ever have. They got all these fucking clothes on that makes them look like amazing. Vanity metrics, anyone? In the meantime, they're a fragile. If I do this, you're a piece of glass, you're going to shatter. Obviously, I don't do that because that's the whole point. It's a figure of speech, but that's how weak the energy is of that which is a comedian. And then, this is not over. I'm not done. When you think that maybe, just maybe, they made it finally to become a little bit more of that which they're already holding within themselves. No, because they haven't actually done anything to embody more of them. They have not done more to embody them, not because they can't, because they reject the very notion of going to someone like Patrick Tiahan. And then they carry on in groups of storytelling. And that's something I don't even know how to put into words because, again, I went to college. I also know I make sense to myself, but I also know that I'm not insecure. And that it's not hard for me to engage in speaking, thinking, Now, when it comes to the panic attacks and other stuff like that, this is where when people have chimed in on what they believe I shoulda, coulda, woulda done, I'm like, that's the freeze of all ages. We all have trauma charges. I don't need to actually do anything differently than what I'm doing. I've learned more than I even began knowing. And when you know smart people, they'll recognize, wow, it's great. You don't talk about it like you're, ashamed. I'm like, why? Are there people that talk about it with shame? Their panic attacks, they don't know how to just blurt it out. Oh, I see. So the part about meeting so many insecure human beings that are grown-ups, I can tell you that today I know of all the words that the smart therapist, and I'm very, very humored when I hear someone say you can't always be on when they're in the profession of the ones who are supposed to help people to always be on. Two, I'm also humored when I see what is not in a good way, in a way of, wow, you lack the interest of helping people for real, because if you did have the interest of helping people, you'd make sure that you are a person who doesn't have any of this going on. And that's when people say, oh, I'm sorry, Miss Perfect. No, really, I'm a marketer. I know what I do. I know what to research. I'm going to make sure I give you all my best foot forward. I'll tell you where I don't know how to do shit. I'll admit to mistakes. I'll be up in your face. I'm not going to be pretending, because the only time I pretended was when I was using words to try and get a job because I got out of a master's degree where I'm like, what? So now they're asking for 3 years experience. I got out now of college. How am I supposed to put this shit on? This was where it was nonsensical. That doesn't mean I'm going to say don't go to college. No, only an idiot will tell their kid not to go to college, because you're an idiot if you think that not going to college is going to make your kid smarter. Your kid's not going to be smarter because they don't get a degree. Actually, they're going to be surrounded potentially by a bunch of ignorant human beings who are going to continue doing a lot of, this is where it's not one or the other, but the point is when I hear people saying, oh no, don't send them to college. Sure, let's send them back to the dark ages. And then when I do meet the college students, thank goodness. So there's still plenty of smart, educated kids that are going to college. and that are a lot more where I'm at, and I keep forgetting I'm around people who are ignorant, who are not even able to take their own 2 feet and 2 hands to go to therapy so they can get securely attached, so they can get to become empowered. And so I'm seeing experts talk about their, and I'm thinking, okay, seriously, how old do you have to be to know what steps it takes so that you can go and work with your self-esteem? Because seeing you do something on screen in this mannerism just makes me feel horrifically just small and upset at why am I still having to see you ignore when there's all these people who I'm learning from in the past 3 years who have become trending topics only in the past 3-5 years, but you're a grown up and you've been in the field for all of these years, and I'm supposed to be Miss Perfect? I don't think so. I think that there's something up with the lack of hearing your inconsistencies and the lack of self. So that's why, to a T, the replicated data is that those who are acting as if they're brilliant, they're actors and they're performers. This is the only reason you say it's hard to keep a relationship. When I got broken up with by my teenage boyfriend, you let him get away. Excuse me? I don't understand. And so as I got older, women and men who made it sound like it's hard to find someone. It's not hard to find someone. It's that people don't know what love means, since they don't even know how to do it with themselves. If you knew how to love yourself, you'd wonder, why is it so hard for me to think? Why is it so hard for me to feel? You wouldn't wait till you hit rock bottom to go and get yourself out of something. The part about how easy it is to notice in my classroom as they spoke that there's a majority of securely attached people. And in these classrooms, these experts are saying, and we wonder why so many of them have problems. I have an answer. They're all copying each other without taking note that their weak emotions made them assholes as 11, 12-year-olds. I spotted all of them. I just didn't copy them, because why would I copy a coward who's pretending to be mean when you're just pretending to act like you're a badass? You're not a badass. And today I have a word for you. It's called they exiled their 11, 12-year-old. And then they allowed themselves to keep it unseen, and they created a buffoon behavior for it. I'm turning now 14, and I'm like, yeah, I'm happy about my choices. I'm going to pick my herd. I'm 15, still picking my herd. I'm 16, I picked my herd. That's where in the 16 to 19, they're all cowards, bunch of cowards. But that's actually in the organically normal, let's see, of a teenager group. Okay, just gonna let you know it's normal to be semi-dramatic. I wasn't even the biggest of the dramatic ones. But in the meantime, I didn't get any shadow parts, because I didn't say I'm gonna become an asshole. No, I said I'm not gonna become an asshole. So I grew more and more, and as a lover and a person who stayed a lover, my twin flame 1, then twin flame 2, then twin flame 3. You won't hear all the story, but the point is, 4D Collective did not, and spiritual bypassers, what I'm going to use right now because they're all in their ego, did not do me any good favors. No, who did me not favors, who educated me and brought me information that supported my journey as a person who picks up on my herd and who continues to pick up on all of it, are the attachment trauma educators. And so when someone is in the spiritual community wants to prove spirituality, I think, what? Okay, one, you're not of spirituality, because the minute you use the word prove, you're a left brainer automatically. You'll right and wrong, proving what? Go to the research lab. They have science and spirituality in the lab. Go and do empirical mysticism. I don't need to prove God. I know who God is. I don't need to prove my spirituality. I am it. I'm not, the word doesn't make sense if you are of faith. Explaining it doesn't make sense if you are of, there is no word, there is no story behind it. You see what I'm saying? If you're an empowered feminine, there's not a story with your faith. There's an energetic imprint, and it's a feeling. That's why you can match it to a T to our somatic empaths and therapists, which is where when I heard Dr. Daniel Siegel explain all the things he did, and so when I go in, I get to honor of asking him 2 things in 2 different occasions. And then when I find out I'm a differentiated self, which I like, yep, I have Maria's thoughts and feelings, and nobody can break me, because I'm not breakable, because my mother taught me this thing called self-respect. And out of the 2 twins, I'm the one who's ha 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 ha, you can't disown me. I'm basically the bully, even though I'm not a bully, but you can better bet I'm the more energetic one. And you find out from, again, good therapists what siblings are. So one's going to be more of the sympathetic, the other the dorsal vagal, if you will. It's not to a T, but the point is one brings it all in, the other's so science can explain to you all of things that I can explain to you, but again, I'm the woo-woo pseudoscience because I am from the land of mysticism. I am from the land of God and faith. I explain with science. Guess what, brothers and sisters, you're all saved. You can all have the kingdom of God within your body. It's called heaven, and it's called restorative embodiment, and it's called you being self-aware, accountable, regulating, and you choosing to do this versus you choosing to be an asshole and an idiot and continue to do this. And the 3D, 4D, man, I thought they'd get out of this shit. They won't. They actively won't, because like I make sense to myself, they make sense to themselves, and they do think they're brilliant as they do destruction. And I don't think, oh, they're bringing the messy disaster to me. No, Patrick Tahan, I try sending them to you, but there's no messy disaster because masculines don't test an empowered feminine. And feminines don't test us either. It's more of, okay, so let me think. You are what again? You are from a special planet. I see. So you said you're from a special planet, and you're a special princess, and you have a superpower, and you have a twin flame, and you are magical. Oh my God. Okay, so as I'm being introduced to the spiritual bypass community, because that's what they've become, it's completely 4D bandwidth is what they navigate. They will tell you my subliminal messages. That's why you can connect to the higher realms. Really? Are you taking ownership of the higher planes? Do you think you're God by any chance? Because I'm pretty sure that's a no-no. You see the perfectionist of the 0, 1, 3, this is the part. When I do tell you all, I'm a goody two-shoe. Oh yeah, I know where the goody twos are, but I know there's no Lucifer, and I'm also not my child parts, but they're with me right now. So I bring in signs. I'm cool with it. Some people think I want to try and say I don't have trauma, which I don't. Not the way they do. I have trauma charges. I work with them. I don't bring it to your face. I got lucky. Does that make anyone feel better? I've noticed people like to think that I got lucky. Because this is what happens when you have people who don't feel. It's easy to do emotions. It's easy to do thoughts. But you cry, Maria. Yes. I'm not trying to upset you right now. I do cry. I just don't ruminate. I'm trying to explain to you something and how I use my brain. I'm not trying to ask you to be like me. I'm giving you an explanation. So when you get to explain attachment trauma education to human beings you're chit-chatting with, and they get pissy in their pants because they can't do it, this is the aspect of what I'm trying to basically get to, is that the storytellers of the 3D, 4D community tend to give you aspects that don't involve the subconscious and conscious of people, while the smart data people give us the full picture. And so when I heard that securely attached people get called boring by those who are supposed to be coaches for the not securely attached, I just wondered, okay, that is an interesting word that you would use. Why boring? And then I realized because they're those who are hooked on drama and pseudo-liveness. And so when I hear a bunch of people that are saying, because we're intuitives, because we're mystics, because we're this, because we're that they are more. And I'm noticing, though, that they're not embodying more. Okay, so the gist of it, if you are taking anything away from this, is that when I use 1, the 5D collective, it's because of 1, having heard of it. 2, the difference is that I do honor Jesus, Christ consciousness, oneness consciousness, but also honor that which is integrated brain. So a lot of people use words differently today and age. Some will blame us for flat earthers. I will not blame anyone, because shame, blame, fault, revenge is only for those who are, again, comedians. The comedians are those who have exiles, protectors, and need a special group. So they need a special group, which means they have a charge, which means they have a bias, which means they have a side, which means they don't know how to navigate their prefrontal cortex, which is why I determined Robert Sapolsky, come on in. Even if he were right, I don't have an issue with his theory. I haven't read the book yet, and I already know the foundation of it because I've watched his interviews, but also because I'm attachment trauma informed. So you'll know truth when you hear it if you're a smart person. If, on the other hand, you're a siren, meaning you're a siren of your own self, you're a bullshitter, then you're not going to hear anything. You know what a siren does to themselves? Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. No, they are not sirens to themselves. They will be the personality patterns. How dare you actually not have an identity? wow, you don't know how to use your name. I see you pretend to be yourself. I see that you're a fake. I mean, this is where we can all play with words, but the point that I'm going to try to make is the ones who don't know that subject matters are not owned, science and spirituality, to an academic brain who is of any human being, educated or not, meaning master degree, PhD or not, educated, seeker, expanding brain. Your brain don't fall out of your asshole. The only ones who think that are the same ones who don't know how to have a good conversation with intellect and intelligence and data. And they got a charge and they don't notice it. I notice a charge because I don't have a preference, because any of my cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable, because that's what a smart brain does. It's not, I've never seen a medium ever, and it's also not, mediums are nosy, and it's also not, my twin flame has to be with me. It's also not, they're a fake twin flame, they're a false this, a false that. So when you meet teenagers, they flip a switch on each other, like the cowards and betrayers and a two brute that I already had met by the time I was 14. I saw exactly what immature cowards do. Can I be a coward? Of course I can. Don't you come near me with your hands. And I had one kid, I don't remember who it was, continued to tease me, trying to dunk me in water. I did not like that. I don't need to call you a bully. I don't need to use those words. You know why? Because I am going to take proactive action the minute that I have spelled it out. And actually, thanks to all smart human beings, I know what biologically rude people don't give a shit about is if I'm upset, which is not really nice. It's okay, Kali, Shiva, and Krishna Leela. You're good. You're 0-1-year-old. You're great. That's how easy it is when you're a confident, grown woman. Yeah, big girls, they do cry, and so do big boys, and I ain't gonna be watching my fucking back to look out for a narcissist or sociopathy, psychopathy. I don't need to look out for these traits. Why am I making groups of people who need help into groups of people that mean no threat? If you are, excuse me, an intelligent brain who knows how to use your own brain, because this is the part, you're an intelligent brain if you're an integrated brain. If you're non-bilaterally integrated, you're going to have shit come up that I'm going to notice and you're not. You're going to have suffering with thoughts and feelings, and that's why you get tired. I'm going to have, when I am in a physical distress situation, yes, my body's going to be, thanks to panic attacks, I got plenty of practice. Thanks to earthquakes recently, more practice. Do I enjoy it? No. Do I whine about it? No, because I actively listen to the data people. And I spot the sensationalizing, dramatic ones who are the ones who people will blame social media. I do not blame social media. I'm an online marketer, content creator, and I'm a podcast host, and I've been online since the beginning of online, and I love it. I love every single bit of social media. And when people blame social media for people cursing, I curse too, and being all rude in each other's faces, it brought out what are people. And when people are actually so convinced that there's some shadow to blame, like I love you, Sylvester Stallone, man, I love all your stuff, and even though we have a lot of things we could talk about, but putting all that to side, because if you're smart, you will look at how society goes through societal cultural transformation, which is what I got to do with one of the movies in my master's years in academia. Was it master's or bachelor's? I forget, one of the two, but we got to watch The Godfather 1, 2, and 3. And as we were watching it, though, we analyzed it from a perspective of how our culture changes. So the only human beings who don't know how to evaluate societal change with the capacity to be intellectually smart are the same ones who are the ignorant ones who will follow someone who says, life, this very existence, this very suffering is suffering. So again, you drag a pain point for somebody, Moana. Ego, anyone? Ego. It's so easy to spot how a child wants to be supported and cheered on. And that's where Patrick Tan coming in. A child who will not have been cheered on will look for a home anywhere they can find, and they follow the idiots who cheer each other on, and then they pat each other on the back. And I'm not following buffoons. I already saw what they do. Diego, what do you do? What is your family? Who are you sticking around with? You with Ice Age. Diego doesn't hang out with his family. It's thanks to Manny and Sid that he realizes what real family is, right? Yes. So, humanly speaking, when I see a liar, liar, pants on fire, they all will turn on each other, which is why I don't look up to them or down to them. I can't look up and I can't look down. I have to look straight at you. I can't pity you. That would be disrespectful towards the creature and child of God that you are. That's actually immediately if I were to look down upon a human being because I'm ashamed of who you are, because I basically am judging you. And there are those who say, but you should. No, no. I'm a imperfect, flawed human being, and I do have faith. I will not look down upon you, and I will not look above you, because I am a piece also of life and consciousness. So within this, I know that we are all just as vulnerable to being cowards and scaredy cats and afraid. So this is again what humility and integrity involve, are a number of aspects from spiritual to science. And if you meet any one of them, they will not be telling you there's never been a medium ever. They can get passionate. I get passionate all the time, curse, you name it. We share our thoughts, but at the end of the day, you'll watch as they walk a walk and talk a talk to tell you that all possibilities, that there's a number of them, and then all that they do know, and this is why they're more likely to say it's this way than that way. And obviously some are a little bit pushier when it comes to certain data points, and that's the part, if they're actual smart human beings, they'll spot themselves and say, let me take a step back, because gathering knowledge and information, expanding it, is what we do with our prefrontal cortex. As for our instincts, we are part of the animal kingdom. And what people don't understand is that the actual human beings who are part of the animal kingdom, we're not separate from the ecosystem. We are actually one with the ecosystem. And again, mystic here, so I integrate the channeling, downloading. I don't make you think or know what it is, because there's no need for it for the 5D collective. I will just let you know that those of us who have a direct relationship with Akash, source, intelligence, God, we're not afraid of. There's not any one of the healed actual human beings who don't have a break with humanity who think that we won't be able to sustain the future. We know that what change comes will always come in a form of destruction, because it gets rid of the shit that we don't need anymore. It's shit. Manure, we make shit out of shit. The shit actually auto-destructs itself, because you know what isolation? Again, Diego's family, let me bring him in. You know what toxic people do to each other? Anyone? Because really, I mean, again, I looked at those teenagers. I didn't do, let me copy you. I did, wow. So now that I was stupid, I can't blame anyone, because I completely chose to disregard myself. I do know that God, I asked forgiveness to God, I followed Jesus, so now that I'm on the right path, then this is where I'm going to share with you. When you get 4D readers, they don't know how to read from their prefrontal cortex. And so they will do things like this. And again, this is a mix of stories. And I had learned how to read coffee cups. Oh, also, when you're an empowered feminine, you don't have a problem. I learned to read tarot because someone made it sound like it was hard as fuck. And I'm like, it can't be that hard. You're a special princess that comes from a special star. I felt your power. You're amazing. This cannot be hard. What are you doing? This is not possible to be that hard. Okay, and when people say, you can't do it every way you want, be careful, it's dangerous, and they actively try to fear-monger you, it's like, okay, you know what? So, are there reasons for there to be that which is teaching you how to do, for example, what is it called? There's one that definitely I know has a lot more to it, not the crystals. It's something different. I can't think of the word right now, but that I understood, and I'm going to leave it alone because I can't remember it. And back to the coffee cup reading story. So picking up on the sphere for the 4D, it's completely terrifying. And anytime they're picking up on something, it's going to have them agitated. And what's unfortunate is that they now with so the Earth, FYI, again, not provable, but from the mystic perspective, our 5D planet and all that stuff that I'm sure you've heard about, it's been in 5D for a while now. There is no karma being built. It's all dharma. I'm going to use words Maria's way again. If you want me to expand it, once our tears are out, we can talk about it, but this is not needing, you don't need to be taking no notes. It's simply put, people who are using prefrontal, who are using ventral vagal state, okay, so when you got a self healthy self-worth human being. They know spirituality, sciences comes together. They got fun with information. I'm going to bring it to you that way. Mystics have fun with it. Science have fun with it. We all have fun. Flat earthers are around because they decided to be flat earthers. I mean, really, if you watch the documentary, you find out, wow, okay, because if someone comes to me and proves to me there's no demons in the body of someone, which they have, I don't say lack of imagination for evil. And I don't say I can dismantle modern day therapy because they're trying to imprison me. This is a bullshit. And then one human being, and guess who follows the flock and praises them? Bow down to your master. So whenever someone is disregarding data, smart people don't disregard data because they wear cloaks or fancy suits. It's like, you're a buffoon. And then you'll spot them flip a switch. Because when you're full of this fear that I'm talking to you about, because it's a modulated embodied human being with a dysregulated nervous system who has not yet learned how to navigate from what is their actual mammalian heritage, because they didn't bother to go get themselves checked in to get EMDR, chop arts work, somatics, and healing done for real with their nervous system. They're ignoring it all. Okay, so you can channel and download with your brain. Your brain and your embodied brain is a conduit. The difference is alert, alert, amygdala, amygdala, safety behavior, drama king, drama queen. Oh, look, overwhelmed sensations, images all over the fucking place. You don't have a window of tolerance that's expanded, and energy body expands, and you're following storytellers all around versus doing the one thing that is a very straightforward equation. Choo-choo train, did you make it over the hump? Awesome. Dr. Daniel Fox, what does it take? It takes maybe 20 years, 30, 40, we don't know. When people want to heal because they love themselves first, because they love humanity, because they want to do something with their herd, they're going to go take care of their brain first. It's not a very hard equation. Pinocchio hit rock bottom by ignoring one, fairy godmother with Jiminy Cricket, right? The first time. Two, by the third time, I think it was, okay, that's it. You get lost. Then his father had to die. Really, really, we could bring it to the father wound. Finally, him realizing, I mean, I don't know. I'm not even going to analyze it this way. I'm just saying it took you, 4 or 5. By that time, I would feel pretty dumb. But you know what? Even if I felt dumb, I'd still be like, I hit rock bottom. I got up. I'm going to go and get healed. And then I won't use my pain points and my story to make it sound like we need to continue to do drama land. So calling secure attachment boring is not the way that I would motivate anyone to move into secure attachment. And I don't need to, because I'm not here for the ones who are not securely attached. Healthy self-worth, self-development is for people who have a self. That's what I've noticed. I know exactly who will be attracted to HP, and it will be those that are not comedians who need a little saliva of venomous tooth going on because they need to be special, because there's some superhero, supervillain story going. And I knew the day would come where some of the people that I looked at with great joy and wow, that I would be seeing the unraveling of that which is not bad. It's just they've joined the land of Peter Pans and Lost Boys on the islands, and they're having a good time. And I mean, really, I know that I share with you and speak to you that any human can become their self, but that's because it's about you as an individual. And I chose to help people to be happy in life, not the entire world. So even if it's just one person to be yourself, that's good enough to me. In the meantime, I'm being myself. And so this dude, as he's reading my coffee cup, I'm like, no, you're describing something that doesn't, no. Wow, where are you getting this shit from? And people think I pretend. What I've realized is, no, I don't pretend. It's that I don't feel life this way. What do you have a window welcome to emotions. I don't know why it's so hard to understand that I'm a woman and I'm emotional with my child parts, and I'm vulnerable, and I'm not, yes, I can be a scaredy cat again. I'll run the fuck away. I won't do any, I don't know how my body will react, but you better bet I ain't gonna blame her for saving me physically. I'd be a liar. I'm not gonna say it's good or bad. Why would I have to say it's good or bad? Who's going to force somebody? I'm not at gunpoint. What bullshit statements are there that people have to make in order? So when you meet children, you always watch as they try to point out the flaws in something with the selfishness of humanity, because their faith in humanity has been broken. Mine hasn't. You're all children of God. And God decided my fate already. And he keeps telling me that I'm physically safe. That's the only thing I care about. He said, I'm going to grow old and that it's okay. So when I get the shaky shake, shake your booty, shake your booty, finally I think I'm getting more comfortable with it. And then I think of Pompeii and how they all died and are more. Please don't be triggered. I'm laughing because I actually, this is where two sides of a coin. I'm like, hey, I'm comfortable with it. He keeps telling me I'm safe, but I might be Pompeii one day and not Pompeii. I mean, really, I don't like it as much as anybody. But then again, does anybody care? Does someone care? Is there anybody out there, out there, out there? So when you can laugh about meaningfulness and meaninglessness and the fact that you have 24 hours, which is why an empowered feminine won't be crying tragedy over a not anyone who cares about anything, because you cannot care about another human being if you don't care about yourself and don't acknowledge that you are a human who is vulnerable and sensitive and emotional, number one. When people respect their child parts and they are their inner adult and they hold that little child by the hand, I know who they are, because they're kind and they're humorous and they're funny and they don't bring their shadow and unseen parts and out of the nowhere their bullshit without saying, you know what, I have, and you speak, or hey, I'm sorry. And as I got older, I don't really bother with this. In fact, actually, here's the part I've read to before. There's a person who wrote about accepting that life is unfair and unjust. And anytime I hear that, I just, again, God is not unfair, unjust. So if you're of spirit, if you're of God, if you're of source, mystic, whatever your foundation is, you won't think of it as unjust. It'll automatically be a contradiction to that which you know of your own fate. If you come from spirituality and mysticism, you know the Akash, you know all the books, you know you learn. So when people continue to do shadow and light work, and they create entertainment, those memes about, oh, the universe, I don't want to come back. Yeah, that's the spirituality soul age group is how I'm going to bring it to you. I'm in the enlightenment soul age group. I don't think life is hard. I laugh at it too, because yeah, life keeps sending you shit. But at a certain point, you become humored by it. Not something that you're closing in a little box and now it's going to always be where you're getting tested. But the ones who are hooked on their drama and their visceral, that's the only thing they are wanting. Because if they had noticed that they're actually leading themselves down the drain, they would have stopped a long time ago by going to therapy with a childhood trauma therapist and or anyone who will help them get out of rumination and their drama king queen assholes. That's it. That's how easy it is. As for the spectrums that some people say are having a different way, this is where I'm not an expert in all of it, but what I can tell you from the experts that I've learned is every one of them can be more comfortable. Because integration of the brain is something that is not taken quickly. If they are experienced and knowledgeable about it, they will tell you that, because your window of tolerance can be expanded to window welcome with your effort and your volition, because everything's possible unless choo-choo train. Didn't you know how to make it over the hump? So the only time somebody's going to say it's impossible, stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. Thank you, Albert Einstein. Are the same human beings who don't want to go and get their adaptive child part healed, because why should I, Maria? Everyone's an asshole. Why don't I get to be an asshole too? I wasn't talking about that. You were telling me how much you are in pain when you see people being happy and that you spite them. And that you know this. I'm saying there's a way for you to get out of that. That's called a trigger. That's actually something that comes from your childhood. So this is not what the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when I have dreams of people in my oversoul, it's because they're doing bullshit. I'll never forget the lovely superpower hero, one of the many, that I got to 1, 2, 3. Shit. I'm not even going to describe what I got to witness. I'll never forget those dreams, as I know what the fuck is going on. In the meantime, consult was, it's done. You got everything you need to get out of this. This is done. You can close a chapter. No, but you don't have to do anything. So when people don't want their best interest, when people don't want to expand, when people don't want to put their heart open and the hand on it, in Italian there's a saying to look at their conscious and clear it, be open, be objective with your subjective. What the fuck are you doing? This isn't, I'm not patting no one on the back. So people who want pats on the back, they're the same ones who don't take their 2 hands and 2 feet and get healed. You know what I do when I've gotten basically not patted on the back, and not because, but I'm going to share with you what a securely attached, self-led, without even being a mystic yet, person will do with an inner growth mindset who walks like an Egyptian. Again, you deal with unknowns, uncertainties, unexpected with ease. I give you the inner growth mindset. Otherwise, don't be here, because I already know what content I built, and now I know who it's for. Be yourself. That's a red flag. Don't be here. Ciao. See you later, alligator. I'm an open-hearted human being. I'm the one for me. I'm the self. The one for me is the one for someone else, because I won't bullshit you and throw projection. I know what a bow means. I know what integrity. I actually know how to walk a walk and talk a talk and wake up in the morning and continue. And don't belittle my mysticism stuff, because you don't have to believe in it, but that's who I am. And if you belittle it, then you're belittling me, and then you might, let me think about that one. Okay, so here's where the window of welcome to ourselves. That's why Terriel, important therapy, important for anyone, FYI, because we all can have areas that are personal. Doesn't mean that that's the intent, which is where mediators help, because you don't prove intent and you don't make someone anything. So the red, okay, we're getting a bit defensive. Yellow, okay, we're a little hostile right now. Green, great, you're having a good time. That's what I'm saying. Anyone who cares about their environment, a true lover will say, yes, we will have our mediator. Why? Because again, I have a 0-1-year-old, I have a 3 to 7-year-old. I don't know what could come up, and I know that I don't want to be an emotionally immature, unavailable human being who will take things in a way that is unnecessary and make a big deal out of nothing. And that's when you know you have a lover. Okay, so we all have trauma charges to the very bare minimum, those child charges, and nobody wants to bring them in a room, because really, unfinished business, it's opportunity to expand, and that's together by yourself, da-da-da-da-da. So nobody is, just because you're a mystic and spiritual doesn't mean you don't go and get yourself into a role. Once you're ready for more, that's where the mindfulness practices with the personal development and spiritual development and all this stuff that we do, again, 1-to-1 workshops, retreats, the master class. So when people ignore that they're codependent, that they're not securely attached, that they have abandonment, rejection, and da-da-da wounds, my facade friend, he hit rock bottom, not because he had to. No. God doesn't give you a hit in the fucking face. So let me share with you that story, because they're both really equally in the same. When a person ignores their own self because they don't love themselves first, because they don't notice, I'm worthy and deserving of love. I know exactly what I'm deserving of. It is to be treated with utmost respect, utmost love, utmost kindness. And the minute I have to deal with any of this, I'm not doing anything, because now I have Cusco in a room. There's no point in me interacting with biological rude. You're red, you're yellow, I don't even know what's going on. You're playing some wheel on a house, and that's your unfinished business. I have nothing to do with it. That's how a smart person works, and you don't go telling them something in general, like my facade friend. I'd be like, hey dude, let me tell you. No. But when you're with friends who are going through a rough time, you support each other, right? So my friend gets broken up with after 14 years. And I tell him, when he's about to get into another relationship, I say, look, this is not the time for it. You just got broken up. I think you want to wait a little bit before. And also, FYI, this is not going to be a relationship. They're not into you. And they ignored me because they, like anybody else, will make sense to themselves. But you know what the facade person is? This is why we don't mean anything to them. When you have a person who is, I'm afraid of being abandoned, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that, who's not self-led, they're gonna pretty much sooner or later do other shit. And so this is what is missing for the 4D collective. There's nobody that's gonna come in the middle of any person's relationship or any of your ascension or expansion or any of that. The only people who are gonna come in the way of that is your own self, if you're not a whole self. So my friend, I told him no, he disregarded that. He in fact went behind my back, lied to me. I didn't speak to him for 5 years. When he was in the shithole, I knew it intuitively. I didn't reach out because he disrespected our friendship, and he disrespected me by knowing actively, this is the part of where the attachment trauma educators, that's why I don't go telling anybody about their Cusco attitude, thanks to attachment trauma educators and my lovely facade friend. They don't have a shits for you at all. I'm just going to let you all know. So it's not about life's unfair. It's that there are people who are their true self and they're fakos. And while therapists work with the fakos, I don't work with the fakos. I'm a mentor, content creator, podcast host who's telling you how to be yourself and how you are the one for yourself, and an actual lover is an open-hearted human being who doesn't bring me shit. And if they bring me shit and they don't notice it, then, like my facade friend, as I'm yelling in his face, it means I got a person who's self-preserving, an adaptive child, who doesn't want healthy self-worth and who won't be around ventral energy, because the consistency of a securely attached, non-traumatized person, as I was saying, is boring. The coaches of the not securely attached people say it's boring. And then the therapists wonder why the securely attached people are going through drama, and I know exactly why, because they don't like that we're all the same, and that's because they want to be part of the flat earther group or whatever new group they're making up. And the twin flame group now apparently won't be joining their union because, you know, the matrix is trying to keep you separated. Get ready for another dramatic year. Not for the 5D collective. We're good. So we know what the truth is. The truth is that we are lovers because we get to be in the prefrontal cortex. So 5D mystic, spiritual, mindfully loving and living people, come on over. And we'll have some more mystic stories. In the meantime, again, securely attached, non-traumatized. It's not a race. It's something you either get to keep, and then you get to keep on keeping and holding and bringing. And the ones who get earned secure attachment, tune into our previous episode if you're curious. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.